In our last session, so what we discussed is, we gone through, little introduction of SAP, okay, different modules, and we taken one real-time example how bill generates, and at the end we are storing the information into the database. Database is nothing but a hard disk in a tabular formats. So in multiple tables we are storing the information. This what we seen yesterday. So at the end, the whatever information we are storing in the database, later we are generating reports on top of the data, and using these reports we are coming to some conclusions, some statements, sales, different output, business related questions can be answered based upon the reports. A report can answer the business questions. Okay, so based upon how the report we design, it will answer different questions from the business. So now this is what we discussed in our yesterday session. So in yesterday session, so we taken a real-time example of some data, right? So bill number, some items when we purchase from any, from any store. So these records, whatever records, for example, if we went to a store and purchase some items and it is generating a bill, means whatever, the records that is storing in the database table, this kind of data is nothing but, transactional data. Okay, now we are talking about data. So when we are storing data into a database or into a hard disk, into a database in a tabular format, so the data can be of two different kinds. Okay, one is master data, another one is transactional data. Okay, so a data can be of two kinds of master data, transactional data. So in our yesterday's example, whatever bill, for example, if we take in a bill, this kind of data is nothing but transactional data. Means when we do some transaction, then that those records can be considered as a transactional data. Then what is exactly meant by master data? Then now we are going to look into it. So I will give you some examples related to master data and transactional data from real life, so that you can differentiate between these two data sets. For example, if you have a bank account, okay, when you are doing online transfers, okay, so each transfer is nothing but one transaction. For example, if you deposit money in an account, or if you withdraw money, or if you transfer from your account to another account, so all these are nothing but different kind of transactions. Okay, so this information, for example, if you are depositing some amount into a bank account, in the statement you see those records, right? So in our statements we see multiple number of records. Each transaction one record it is kind of. So this information we can call it as a transactional data. If we went to a store, and if we are buying some items, then the bill, whatever data we see in the bill, it is also nothing but a transactional data. Okay, and for example, what else we can talk? If we buy one car from a then whatever receipt we receive, that is the all the information that is providing how many what kind of car we are buying, and then accessories whatever we are buying, all these will be mentioned in the bill. So all those line items are nothing but transactional data. Okay, and what else we can take? Simple examples if we take further. Okay, so this is some examples related to transactional data. Okay, so not to making in too much complex. So now I will give you some background about what is master data, why it is required, and what are the examples to be considered as a master data. Okay, so master data means so let's understand this information using one example. For example, if you in a bank, if you open an account, okay, what is happening when they're opening an account? They will take your name. For example, here I am taking my name Srinivas. Okay, so if they in a bank, whenever they are opening the bank account for you, then they will generate one account number for you, right? They will generate one account number. So this account number can be called as a master data. So why account number is called as master data? Because each customer has its own unique account number. correct? It is not repetitive. It is unique. For each customer, the account number is unique. Okay, so master data always be unique and it is not repetitive. So next thing is based, for example, in the world we have n number of Srinivasas, but based upon the account number they can judgify, they can judge whose account is which person's. Okay, in the similar way, another example for this is yeah, when come to another one. In an organization, for example, in an organization, we have, there will be n number of employees, and some of the employees may have a similar names. So that's why what they will do, whenever we join in a company or an organization, they will generate one employee ID for each person. So this employee ID is nothing but a master data. Okay, based upon the employee ID, they can distinguish between each employee in their company. Okay, so let's take first employee ID in detail, and then we go to again the bank example also. So for example, if I join in a company, then what happens with my name Srinivas, they will generate one employee ID EMP001. Let's say this is my employee ID. So along with this employee ID, so what information they will store of mine? They will store my first name, my last name, my address. Okay, my last name and then address, street, city, country, mobile number, so many further information they will store each and every information in their database. Okay, so employee ID is a master data. Based upon the with this master data ID, they will save some other information of mine into the database. So this whatever columns which we are seeing, these columns are nothing but the properties of this master data. In BW terminology, we call them as attributes of the master data. Okay, in BW terminology, we call these as an attributes. Okay, and in general terminology, we call them as sorry, 1 second. Attributes are in general terminology properties of the employee ID. So anything we can call. At the end, this information also will be stored in the database in the form of table only. Okay, so so for example, if we take Malaysia, another name, employee 002, and then for address something. Okay, so like this, how many number of employees are there in their in the organization? Each person will be assigned with one employee ID. So this information is not transactional data. This is called as master data. So why it is master data? Because once employee joins, whatever information they are taking, this information doesn't change frequently. For example, they taken my first name, last name. Will it be changed any point of time? So until unless I change my name, this information never change from this table. Okay, but when coming to address, so I don't change my address frequently, not very frequently, not within 1 or 2 days. Maybe after years I may change a house, then only this will change. Okay, it means master data is a data which doesn't change frequently. Okay, we call it as a master data, but it can change but not too frequent. When coming to mobile number also, once we taken one mobile number, we don't change it too much frequently. So we call it as a master data. So what is the need of having master data separately when compared to transactional data? Why I'm not calling it as a transactional data? Okay, so master data, definitely why we create this one is whenever in the payslip. So for example, since I am considering this example from an IT company or organization. So when they are generating a monthly payslips, so the auditor will create their payslips, or someone who is HR is creating payslips. Then they want to prepare the payslip with the names. Okay, they never type the names of ours, because when typing the name, there is a chance of having misspelling. Okay, there is a chance of writing misspelling. So then what will happen at any point of time, if you show this payslip to someone, they won't agree that this is yours because there is a spelling mistake in the payslip. because they need exactly how we have in our accounts the same name and first name, last name, everything must be matched with our payslips. So that's why it is not correct every time typing these information manually. So that for that reason, instead of typing this information manually, they will go with this master data. So it means that they won't select they won't type the name, but they will select it from the master data. It means for example, this is my master data which I am storing in a, like to show a real-time example, I am storing this in my Excel sheet. So when I am preparing my payslip, here I want name. So when I am trying name, I don't type anything. My employee ID I don't type, or my text name also I don't type. Instead of typing, what I will do, I will we can do like this. Edit it long back, data validation, and then settings, any value kaadu, list, and then source. I will go here and then I will select these two, and then click on OK. Okay. Now you see, now whenever when we need this name information or employee ID information, instead of typing, we always try to select it from the database. Now this is nothing but master data. Okay, it means by taking like this, there is no chance of going misspelling or wrong values. If you select wrong value, then it goes for wrong one, but there is no chance of having different versions in database system. EMP01 is 1001 is one thing, small letters is different. So these two are also not same, because one is in capital letters, one is in small letters. System does not able to recognize these two are same until unless both are identical. So this is one of the reason. Now that's why master data means we maintain master data, and whenever we are referring to this kind of information in any transactional information, then instead of typing it, we always take it from the master data reference. Okay, so this is one example. Now I am going to give you another example which we discussed yesterday. For example, you went to a store and you are buying some materials. Okay, for example, you bought one brush from the store. Okay, they never type brush manually when you are buying, okay, they will do it by scanning, but sometimes they will type some codes, right? When the store is very small, they like Kisok and all, they will type numbers, they don't do barcode scanning and all. So what they will do initially in their databases, they will store some information like item code and then item description, like this. Okay, so 01 means, for example, 01 means brush, for example, Coke, let's say Coke, and 02 means Fanta, something like this. Okay, soda. So for example, these are the item codes they are assigning to the products whatever they have in their store. So when you buy something, what they will do, instead of typing this Coke, Fanta, soda in on their systems, they simply give the number 01. So whenever they give 01, automatically this is nothing but master data. Now from master data, based upon the ID, it will fetch the description and it will print it on the bill. Okay, so like this. So whatever records coming on the bill are transactional data, but the item information we are always referring from the master data. Okay, it is not a manual information. We don't give any manual information manually at the runtime. We will always choose from the master data. I hope it is clear. So that is the importance of having master data in our day-to-day life. Okay, so to simplify one more, just recap one more time. When we consider data, a data can be of two types. One is transactional data, another one is master data. So transactional data is your day-to-day transactions happening in real time. We can take a number of examples, and when coming to master data, in our transactional data, whichever fields we are using, which we don't want to go for any mistakes and all, for those kind of information, we create master data separately, and then we refer the information from there. So that we never do any mistakes in providing information in the in bill or somewhere, whatever it may be. Okay, so that is about the difference between the transactional data and master data. So when we talk about, different, when we want to see this master data in our SAP system, so SAP is providing multiple master data tables. Okay, so whatever transactional data or master data, it always stores in a tabular format in the database. So one of the table which I want to show is KNA1. KNA1 is a customer master table. Okay, where it stores all the customer related information here. So for this particular table, the key is the customer number, and for each customer we can see corresponding properties like name 1, name 2, postal code, city, region. All this information are nothing but the properties of the customer. Okay, so how exactly data coming and storing into this customer, this KNA1 table? SAP is giving some standard T codes to create customer master information. As a BW consultant, we never create customer master. This is responsibility of the master data team and will be created in the SAP ERP system, not on the BW. Okay, BW will fetch this information to BW from ERP to BW by using data sources. Okay, I will show you that also. So KNA1 is a table where it stores customer master information, and the key here is the customer number. In a similar way, one more table called MARA. MARA is a material master table. Okay, for each material it stores the corresponding information like material group. One second. So material created on, created at last changed on, status, material group, business unit. All these are nothing but the properties of the material. So this is one of the master data table. In a similar way, we have one more master data table called T001, where it stores the company code master. Okay, so like this we have n number of master data tables are there. I am giving you few. When you work on the real-time environment, you will get to know all these information. Okay, with our day-to-day working with the system. So company code is the key, and for each company code we are going to share the corresponding information here. So now this is the data which is available in the ERP system. Now how exactly we are going to fetch this master data into our BW system? Yesterday I told you, when this data coming from ERP into our BW system, we don't fetch the data on table to table basis. Okay, when we fetch data from ERP into SAP BW, we replicate the data using the data source mechanism. Data source. Okay, what exactly is the data source? So, for this currently we are talking about master data, right? MARA is the one of the table, KNA1 is one of the table, and T001 is one. So MARA table is for the material master data. KNA1 is for the customer master table. T001 is the company code master data table. Okay, so if you wish to bring this information into our BW, then how exactly we are going to bring? SAP is giving standard data sources. Okay, for that, which T code we need to go? We need to go, when we must open RSA5, RSA5, RSA6, and RSA3. These are the three important transaction codes now which we are going to look into. Okay. So RSA5. So RSA5 is for the data source from business content. SAP is given n number of data sources which can be utilized to bring data from ERP into our BW system. Okay, instead of we do we create our own mechanism to bring data to BW to reduce the effort and all. SAP itself given this for us. Here I am going to search material. If you see here, 0 material 80 TR, 0 material 80 TR, nothing but this is a material master data table. Okay, data source, material master data source. Okay, 0 material ATTR is a material master data source. So if I go to RSA3 and providing is a data source name here and press enter, then here is the selection screen. If I click on extraction, you see 461 records are there. I will explain all this again one more time. This is just for for showing you how exactly the system is developed. You see there will be EWM VAS1, and if I go to SC11, you see 461. So here in the Mara table we have 461 records, and when I'm going to this data source and clicking on extraction like this, how many records got extracted? 461 records got extracted. So this data source is fetching data from the Mara table and provide and table, that's it. So now using this data source we will bring this information into BW. We will look into that topic in the coming time. So not immediately, but in coming time we will look into it. So this is the data source. In the same way for transactional also, SAP is giving a lot of data. So yesterday we talked about some of the sales information, right? So for that information, there is a LO cockpit kind of one transaction code is there. From here SAP is giving some standard data sources to bring sales information into BW. Sales header, item, and different schedule lines and all information to bring into BW. SAP given standard data sources. So we all come into this topic later point, not immediately, but the conclusion, to conclude this topic, a data can be split into two types: master data, transactional data, and master data will be stored in their master data tables, transactional data will be separately. And to bring the, how we bring this information to BW, by using data sources, we bring this information to BW. Okay, when coming to master data, the main master data will be, main field will be the key, and the remaining all are nothing but properties are the attributes of the master data. Okay, for example, if we take employee information, employee ID is the master data, and first name, last name, address are all nothing but the attributes are properties of this employee ID. Okay, I'm concluding this topic here.